Guys, congratulations on the film.
Thanks.
Thanks, bud.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about for not the first question is right behind you, which is your wonderful, wonderful poster. There's so many posters these days of floating heads and weird kind of CGI things, but that poster really sums up this film. I just wonder what your opinion was on it because it's such a brilliant image for this film.
I loved it as soon as I saw it. I was just asking you about the artist who did
Yeah,
it.
so we talk a lot about posters and we talk a lot about what's the thing that shows up well on the on-demand platform from a practical
got you.
standpoint,
Yeah.
and all those kinds of things, right?
Thinking about it all.
But at the same time, my whole take is, what is something that will catch your eye and will also be definitive of the film, but is not just an attention grab for attention grab's sake.
Yeah.
And that is, in my opinion, impossible to come up with if you are the filmmaker. It's hard enough distilling a movie down to 90 minutes.
Sure.
Then you try and distill it down to one image.
Yeah.
So as like a producer, writer, all that stuff, I kind of remove myself from the process and I try to find an artist who can give us something beautiful. So we did a movie a few years back called The One I Love that had a really interesting image. It was, painted from likenesses. So we hired that same artist and she came up with this concept of the egg on her own. This should, sort of simulate the triangles of the dome itself. And we were just like, God, you're good. All right, you do it.
It's a really wonderful kind of chamber piece for you guys, and I know you guys have done other films and plays and kind of two-handers. What was it like with this one? Because you're playing with the conventions, but also you've got this kind of buddy comedy, this really wonderful kind of semi-love story, if you like, between these two guys. How much fun was it for you guys to play with this?
It was a blast for me, man. Duplass is easy to play with. He's incredibly smart, incredibly thoughtful, thinking about the whole production from 360 degrees. I only really have to think of it as an actor, but this man is producing and writing. Gave over the reins to Mel to direct it or whatnot, but they're like a hive mind that sort of just works in collective with one another. And I just
your Venn diagram started to overlap into our mind there a little bit.
That's very kind.
It's true.
How so? I don't know, maybe to a certain extent, but like they had such a clear goal for what they wanted to accomplish with the film. And there was advocacy as art, sometimes they overlap in a very lovely way. And our set had many LGBTQ members on set, and you could tell they weren't getting paid a whole ton of money. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. Like, he pays people, don't get me wrong.
I don't pay anybody.
He pays people. This is not the truth. But you could see the love from the crew and the appreciation for the story that was being told. That sort of fueled me as well. I was like, this is not just like, oh, okay, I'll come in, I'll say some lines. Like, this will mean something to a community of people. And it sort of like bolstered me as we went through the process.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, Sterling and I are born in the same year. We're both 76ers,
Yeah.
right? We've both been doing this for a long time. And I think I had a lot of similar goals for this thing, which was like, at this point, process is as important, if not more important than product for me, because I've been doing this so long. And I just wanted to spend 3 excellent weeks making a new friend, connecting, trying to do something human, trying to show male relationships and that sort of intimacy that I know very, very well in my own relationships, make it funny, have a good time, and hopefully, we can have a press day without, those press days where you realize they don't like each other anymore.
Yeah.
Those? That's the goal, man.
That's the goal. Yeah, that's the goal for any movie.
Oh my God.
It's a question. This is a question for both of you, but Mark, it's kind of primarily aimed at you. But given how movies that you like to make, it's hard for them to get oxygen, even more so these days, given the state of the industry and these big blockbusters and everything else. How are you finding that process now? Are you still, given streaming and all that stuff, and then obviously what's going on in Hollywood at the minute, are you still able to make the movies that you want to make?
Yeah, I'm a cockroach, man. I mean, you try and step on me, I'm gonna find another place to go. I've been doing that. I've made independent films, and then I was like, great, I showed up in Hollywood and they're gonna make all my studio movies. And then they stopped doing that. And I was like, oh, that stinks. I'll go to TV.
Yeah.
And then they were so excited to have me in TV. And then they canceled Togetherness. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go back to independent film and make some of those. I have never had, and this is not any false humility. I've never had any sense of entitlement that I belong here or I should be allowed to continue to do. It feels like, what a gift that I got here in the first place. So if I have a chance to write something small and use the money I make on the morning show and pay for it and make that money back and get to double down and go again, that's a massive victory.
Amen.
So I can understand how some people feel like it's a bummer that their small independent film isn't going out in 3,000 screens. For me, put me on the curb on a VHS TV combo and I'm good, dude. Like we're living well. Like,
I like it. I like it.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the best in the movie. Thanks so much.
Cheers, Scott. Take it easy, man.
Have a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys.
hey, you guys!